Hello and welcome to this lesson on finding the original amount. Pop today's date in the title and have a go at the 4 problem solving questions that are on your screen now. So question 1, Fred buys a car for £3,000. He sells it 2 years later for £2,200. Does he make a profit or a loss? Well, hopefully you realise he's made a loss. And what is this as a percentage of the original amount? Well, the loss will be £3,000, take away the £2,200, so we made a loss of £800. To work out this as a percentage of the original amount, write it as a fraction of the original amount, so 800 over 3,000, and multiply this by 100 to see that it was a loss of 26.7%. Question 2. Mia spends £8.50 on sweets and decorations. She makes gift bags and sells them for £1 each. If Mia sells 15 bags, does she make a profit or a loss? And what is this as a percentage of the original amount she spent? So if she sells them for £1 each, 15 times £1 means that she makes a profit as she makes £15. So if you take off the £8.50 that she spent, so 15 take away £8.50 will leave you with £6.50, and to work out this as a percentage of the original amount, it will be 6.5, so this is your £6.50 divided by the £8.50 originally, multiplied by 100, so you can see that she made a 76.4% profit. Question 3 is like the hook questions from, well, it is one of the hook questions from a previous lesson. So hopefully you knew how to do this. So a restaurant buys 3 cases of drinks for £30 and there are 12 bottles in each case. So 36 bottles in total. And if they sell all the bottles for £3, that would be then 36 multiplied by 3. So it makes £108. So they make a profit. So 108, take away the 30, so that means they make a profit of £78. To then work out this as a percentage of the original, it's 70 over 30 and multiplied by 100. So this is a profit and the percentage of the original amount is 260%. Question 4, Roger buys a box of 12 donuts for £8. He sells them for 90p each. If he sells them all, does he make a profit or a loss? So 90 multiplied by 12, or the 90p multiplied by the 12 gives you £10.80. So he's made a profit. So he's made a profit of £2.80. If he sells them all, so he's made a profit, what is this as a percentage of the original amount he spent? So to work out this, so he's made £2.80 as a percentage of the original £8. This would mean he's made a profit of 35%. So our hook question for today. After Valentine's Day, the price of a box of Thornton's chocolates has been decreased by 20%. A box of Thornton's Continental now costs £16. How much did it cost originally? So sometimes we don't know an original amount or cost of something. We're told it's been decreased or increased. Today we're going to be looking at decreases, and then we've got to go back to what the original amount is. So our success criteria for today, our bronze objective is to be able to find a decimal multiplier for a percentage increase and decrease. We can do that from previous lessons. Our silver objective is to understand that a question is asking to find the original value. And our gold is actually to be able to work backwards and find the original amount. So a bit similar to the hook question I've just talked through. So have a go at this first in your exercise book. Copy and complete the following. So if 40% of a number is 60, what other facts can you find? Pause the video while you try and fill in the missing values. So if 40% of a number is 60, to get from 40% to 20%, we'd divide by 2, we'd half. So hopefully you recognise that 20% of the number would be 30. If we half again, we can get from 20% to 10%. So hopefully you can see that 10% of the number would be 15. 80%, we could multiply the 20 by 4, or we could multiply the 10 by 8 to see that 80% would be 120. We could then easily get to 8% by dividing by 10, so this would be 12. Also, we could fill in what 100% of the amount was. Maybe you've looked at the 10% and seen we could times this by 10, or we could multiply the 20% by 5, but 100% is 150. So a cold call question. Pause the screen while you have, or pause the video while you have a think about this. So which of the answers above gives us the original value? So hopefully you recognise that 100% of an amount is the original value. So the original number to start with would have been 150. Some standard examples then. Have a look at these. If 25% of a number is 60, find the original number. So if 25% of a number is 60, hopefully you recognise that if I multiply this by 4, this will get me to what 100% of the amount is. So the original number was 240. Another example. So 20% of a number is 18. Find the original number. So if 20% of a number is 18, hopefully you recognise this is another nice factor of 100. We can multiply this by 5 to get us back to 100%. So the original number, 100% of the number, is 90. Pause the video while you have a go at these two questions here. So 50% of a number is 450. Find the original number. So hopefully you recognise you just needed to double here to get to 100%. So the original number would have been 900. 10% of a number is 72. Find the original number. Hopefully here you recognise that you just needed to multiply by 10 to get back to 100%. So the original number would have been 720. Some non-standard examples. 30% of a number is 36. Find the original number. Now I've listed these as non-standard examples because the percentages now aren't easy factors of 100. So I can't multiply 30 straight away by anything to get me to what 100% is to find the original number. So here what I'll do is I've written down that 30% is equal to the 36. This time if I divide by 3, I'm going to go back to 10%. So I've recognised that 3 will go into 36. And then I've got myself to a factor of 100. So then I can multiply to get back to 100%. So 30% would be equal to 36. Dividing by 3 gives me that 10% of the number would have been 12. Then I can multiply by 10 to give me that 100%, or the original number, was 120. Let's have a look at another one. 45% of a number is 270. Find the original number. So this time I've recognised that if I divide by 9, so 9 is a factor of both of these, I can get myself back easily to what 5% is. So 5% dividing by 9 would give me 30. Then you could easily just multiply by 20 or do an intermediate step of multiplying by 10 to get that 50% would be 300. So my original number would have been 600. Pause the video while you have a go at these two questions. So 60% of a number is 60. Find the original number. So dividing by 6, so 10% would be 10, 100% would be 100. 15% of a number is 18, find the original number. So here you might have shared by 5 to get you what 5% is, and then multiplied by 20 to give you the original number was 120. Some differently worded questions. Read through the following questions and why are they different to the questions we have just looked at. Pause the video while you have a think. So after spending 60% of her money, Alex has £24 left. After spending 50% of her money, Rosie has £27.50 left. Who had most money to start with and how much more? Hopefully you've noticed that these questions are different. The first one, after spending 60% of her money, well, if we look at this as a bar model, if she spent 64% of her money, we've got to recognise that this £24 isn't actually 60%, it's 40%, because she's spent 60% and she's got £24 left. So it's 40% that's remaining this time. Here, after spending 50% of her money, Rosie has £27.50 left. Because obviously 2 50s make 100, it wasn't necessarily needed in this one, because you could have said that 50% is equal to the £27.50, because obviously 100 subtract 50 would still give you that 50% is equal to the £27.50. So let's actually work these out then. So if Alex has £24 left, she spent 60%, so she has 40% left, and then we treat the question like before. So then we could divide by 4 to get us that 10% is 6, so 100% of her money would have been £60. So Alex had £60 to start with. A different method for this, which you might see, is we don't know how much she had to start with, which is why I have a blank line. But I know she spent 60% of her money. So this is a 40% reduction. So remember, when we do a decrease, 100% subtract 60% gives us 40%. So this would be 0.4 as a decimal multiplier is equal to 24. And then to get back to the original, we do a division question. So we do 24 divided by 0.4 to get me back to the original amount of £60. It's entirely up to you which of these two methods you prefer. Now let's have a look for Rosie. So for the first method, Rosie spent 50% of her money. So the 50% she has left is equal to the £27.50. We can just double this amount. So Rosie had £55 to start with. Using the alternative method, we don't know what she had to start with, but we know she spent 50%. It's a decrease of 50%. So 100% subtract 50% is 50%. Changing this to a decimal will be 0.5. So something multiplied by 0.5 gives us £27.50. Do the division to work backwards. So £27.50 divided by 0.5 gives us her starting value of £55. So Alex had the most money to start with. She had £5 more. Have a go at this question, pause it and then resume playing when you want to go through. Have a think about both of the methods I've just shown you. So Amia is comparing the sale price of t-shirts from 2 different shops. In which shop was the t-shirt originally more expensive? So let's have a look at Drymark first. 20% off and now only £44. So if there was 20% off, that means then this £44 is the remaining amount of 80%. So 80% is equal to the £44. Let's get back to a factor. If we divide by 4, we can see a factor of 4 would go into these nicely, would mean that 20% would be £11. Multiplying this by 5 would give that a t-shirt was originally £55. By an alternative method, so we don't know what the t-shirt cost to start with, but I'm decreasing by 80%. Sorry, we're decreasing by 20%. So this is 100% subtract 20%, which means is 80% of the value remaining. So multiplied by 0.8 would give us 44. Working backwards as a division, 44 divided by 0.8 gets us again to the same answer of £55. Now for N and S, 30% off, and it's now only £42. This means then that 70% of the value, as this is what's remaining, is equal to the £42. If I divide by 7, as 7 is a factor of both 70 and 42, would give me that 10% is equal to £6. So the original cost of the t-shirt was £60. By the alternative method, so a decrease of 30%, 100% subtract 30% would mean we have a decimal multiplier of 0.7. Working backwards as a division, 42 divided by 0.7 gives me the same answer of £60. So the t-shirt was originally more expensive in N&S. So now you could have a look at the worksheet which accompanies today's lesson. Let's have a look at some true or false questions. To get back to an original amount, we need to find that percentage of the value. No, this is false. To get back to an original amount, we need to find 100% of the value. Yes, this is true. If we know 20% of a value, to get 100%, we multiply by 5. Yes, this is true, because 20 multiplied by 5 would get us to 100%. If we know 25% of a value, to get 100%, we double. So this is false, because this would give us 50%. We'd need to multiply by 4. If we know 30% of a value, we can find an integer to multiply by to get to 100%. And no, this is false. There isn't an integer that we can multiply 30 by to get us to 100, because 30 is not a factor of 100. So have we fulfilled our success criteria for today? So hopefully from previous lessons you know how to increase and decrease by amounts, percentages by amounts by percentages even. Can you understand that a question is asking to find the original? So recognise in a question, if it says 20% of a number is 70, what was the number to begin with? Or what was the original number? Or what was 100% of the value? And do you know how to go and work it out? So if you're given that 20% of a number is 70, hopefully you recognise you've got to multiply this by 5 to get back to 100%, which is the original number. Let's go back to our hook question then. Pause the video while you have a go at solving it. So after Valentine's Day, the price of a box of Thornton's chocolates has been decreased by 20%. A box of Thornton's Continental now costs £16. How much did it cost originally? So, hopefully you've noticed if we decrease by 20%, that means there's 80% of the value remaining, which is equal to the £16. Now if I divide by 8, 8 is a factor of both of these, I can easily work out that 10% was £2, so the original value, 100%, was £20. By the alternative method, I don't know what the original cost of the box was, but to decrease by 20%, my multiplier would be 0.8. 100% subtract 20% equals 80%. I then do a division, 16 divided by 0.8, to get me back to the original cost of £20. Have a look at this question. Is this correct? Whitney flips a coin and gets heads 45% of the time. She gets heads 54 times. How many times did she flip the coin? Well, hopefully you've spotted that this is wrong. If she gets heads 45% of the time, this isn't subtracting it away. This is that 45% of the time is equal to 54. So this should have been a 45% here. And also this should have been 45% here. So you should have got 120 times. Also, hopefully you noticed that the unit was wrong in the question too.